I'm not sure what Dev is doing right now, but welcome back. This is your host, Coach Zai, CO and Dev are here. Round to the next. Staying in college football. Uh, First, we're going to talk about the Heisman race. Top four. I'll give you my four, right? I'll go first here. There's not much to break down. I think it's pretty obvious. You got LSU's quarterback, Washington's quarterback, Oregon's quarterback, and Marvin Harrison Jr. is the fourth. But I'll tell you how this is going to play out, CO, because I know you want me to say that Carson, your boy, is in there. But Michigan Ohio State game has a lot of will weigh on the Heisman, and then obviously Washington Oregon when they play in the Pac-12 championship game pretty much can eliminate the loser of that. So those two could be eliminated. I think that if Georgia, obviously you guys have a bye week this week pretty much, and then moving forward. Excuse me, moving forward, if Georgia just walks Alabama and he throws for 3 or 4 touchdowns and looks really good, he could get his name in the Heisman. I agree with you on that. I also think outside Blake Corum or JJ could get invited if they went crazy and beat Ohio State and had a really good game. If Blake Corum did what Haskins did a couple of years ago and has 5 touchdowns and runs for 150 yards, like he will be in the mix. But I also think if Ohio State wins and Marvin Harrison has a good game, he may be the favorite moving forward. But I think it really comes down that Washington-Oregon game is going to be the big one. I think LSU's quarterback is the best player, just based on what he does. But
I got a hot take on him.
Okay, I'll give you a chance. It's very interesting because Georgia doesn't really produce Heisman winners. Like, it's kind of different, but that doesn't mean that they shouldn't, in my opinion. So I think it's an interesting year for the Heisman. Because you got guys like Bo Nix and Penix, they're just launching that thing. And Daniels from LSU, he has to score, make plays, they got to score 50 a game to even have a chance, and they still lose. So it's really interesting this year. I think a lot of people thought Caleb Williams would win the Heisman, and that's been a shit show. And so it's just very, very interesting. Michigan, I think that if JJ McCarthy was in a different system, he may be even better. But like Michigan doesn't really play offense to win the Heisman. Ohio State didn't have their quarterback's gotten better, but Marvin Harrison didn't put up great numbers at the beginning of the year. So it's really interesting. Like I could see an argument for 6 to 10 guys, to be honest with you. You can flip a coin because that's how this year's been. So I'm curious to hear what you guys say. But that's my top 4. I think that this upcoming weekend is a big way, and then obviously the conference championship games. But I think the award is still way up for grabs because I think that the voters and us as a country have just decided that the end of the year games are so important in this that's what really matters. But in my opinion, I'll say next week matters. After next week, the award should already have been decided, in my opinion. Like, that's what it's meant to be for. Because then, if not, you're pretty much deciding who the best player on the best team is or who the best quarterback was. And that's really what the Heisman has been. So, Dev, I'll let you go next. What do you got for us?
LSU's quarterback, Daniels. I give it to him, like he's putting up money Manziel stats, but
don't you
like you brought up though, are they winning? Like he's on a bad team. And Caleb Williams too, like he's a great quarterback, and I feel like the league does this a lot. That right? They hype up these young quarterbacks and they get to the NFL. Just like Johnny, everyone thought he was going to be the best quarterback in the NFL, all-star. He was a sellout. And I think the NFL hypes up these young quarterbacks too much to where they think they have too much to higher their standards, but then they don't reach them. So I think he's definitely in the talk, but I think the media and stuff just overhype these guys way too much. And they're good quarterbacks, but you gotta look at the I guess not JJ is I don't see stop making me laugh, bro. Because you gotta back me up on this though. They're not winning. I mean, he's a great quarterback, yes, but that's just like saying all right, I'm a good point guard, but we're not winning. So why? And I'm putting up, and I'm averaging.
Have you watched?
I'm averaging 30 points, huh?
Have you watched LSU's defense at all this year?
No, but they're obviously probably bad.
They're Swiss cheese, dude. There's holes everywhere. They can't stop a cold.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, when you're not winning games, like, it's kind of hard to say a player is a great player because it's not just.
The Heisman, before I let you go, Seal, the Heisman kind of reminds me of the NBA MVP. To where, like I said, the games at the end of the year matter so much. It's just like the NBA MVP. Like, it shouldn't be about if you're the best player on the best team. It should be about if you take that person off of that team, like what player, if you take off the team, does that team dramatically change for the worse? Okay. Yes. And so if you want to tell me that, I would LSU's quarterback, I agree. If you take him off, they're probably losing 75-0.
Oh, yes. 100%.
Like,
100%.
so that's the way I view it. But people don't view it like that. They view it as in who's going to make that moment. Like when it's Georgia, Alabama, who's going to score the most touchdowns? Michigan, Ohio State. If Michigan wins, Blake Corum's out in the Heisman race. If Ohio State wins, Marvin Harrison's the best receiver ever. Like those are the story. Those are the storylines, and it's unfortunate to some degree.
Usually the NBA MVPs are usually the ones who are either in the championship game or like are going off in the playoffs. And
if the NBA MVP was real and people knew what they were talking about, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a Lakers fan, I like LeBron now. LeBron James should have won about 30 MVPs. Like that's because if you would have took him off those teams, they would have been so bad. And so that's just the way it is. But that's not how it was voted. And so again, I feel like the Heisman is like that. So I don't know how you can change it. Like at this point, the Heisman might as well be like the MVP of the championship, like of the playoff.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially with 12 teams going to the 12-team playoff, you might as well make it that award because that's what it's come down to. And I mean, even Caleb Williams, I'll give him credit. Like you watch USC games, offensive line's not good. Their defense is. If you think LSU's defense is Swiss cheese, like USC's is like a crater in the ground. It's just that it's terrible. So like for Caleb Williams to even make a bowl game, it's almost impressive to some degree because you watch those games and he's running around with his head cut off. And yeah, he had a few games where he's turning up, but there's always a dude in his face. So it's tough. Dev, to your point about the young quarterback.
Nothing to take from those quarterbacks. Like they're obviously great quarterbacks putting up like unbelievable stats. Like I'm not taking nothing away. I just wanted to make a point to where like, a lot of people overlook and like over talk and just overhype these young quarterbacks to where they're like, don't ever compare the LSU quarterback to Tom Brady ever again, first of all.
To your point though, and then I'll let you take it. College football and the gap between college football and the NFL is tremendous now. The college game is played so much different. It's spread, like LSU's offense, Ole Miss's offense, USC's offense. It's nothing compared to like a pro offense, to be honest with you. And so that's what makes it really hard when you're drafting these quarterbacks and you want to say that they're going to go be a stud. You don't know that. And because it's just it's so different. And the defense is obviously a Pac-12, even, besides maybe Georgia and Bama, the SEC defenses, even the Big Ten defenses, like they're so not even close to an NFL defense that how can you even guess? It's tough. It's very tough. So CO, what do you got? Who's your top four?
I will say Georgia's tight end though.
Yeah, if Bowers was healthy, I think he'd be in the mix.
Yes, I agree.
If he wasn't out for those 3 games, I definitely agree.
I agree.
But I'm gonna go Jaden Daniels from LSU. Got Michael Penix from Washington, Bo Nix from Oregon, and Carson Beck. And I'm gonna tell you this right now. Everybody's gonna say, "Oh, he has the best team." The first 5 weeks, he didn't have Lad McConkey, Ra Thomas, or Dominic Lovett in the lineup. They were all hurt. Those are probably, arguably, our top 3 receivers. Then Brock Bowers, shortly after those guys are just starting to come back, our best weapon gets hurt, Bowers. Everybody thinks the sky is falling. He sells it down, has 3 straight 300-yard games, a couple 4 touchdown pass games. Rocks just settles the storm. Our defense had a lot of injuries earlier in the year as well. He's been that constant the whole year, no matter what has been going on around our team. For those people that don't really follow Georgia that much, obviously, because we're in Big Ten country up here. But that's just the fact of the matter. Like he's balled the whole year, no matter the circumstance. He's had a couple of moments where he's had to have it because against South Carolina, obviously. Start slow, down at halftime. You gotta come out that first drive and score. It gets kind of a little nervous, and then Auburn, same thing, man. He had to have it in the fourth quarter. The running game, obviously, Auburn's D line is really good. Their offense isn't great, but their defense is a good defense.
Yeah, they played good last weekend.
Yes.
Hey, didn't Oregon's QB go off last game too?
Yeah,
they
Bo
played
Nix.
Indiana or Purdue or whatever it was. But I mean, you look at Carson Beck, man. People are gonna just say, "Oh, you're biased." Look at the games, man. He is performed every single week. No matter.
Is he paying you to say all this?
No, he's not paying me to say all this. I wish he was, man. I need some of that NIL money, but
listen, here's the thing. This is what every football fan knows. Everybody that knows football understands this. It doesn't matter who plays quarterback for Georgia right now. Alabama got to a point like when they were in their prime and they were winning championships multiple years in a row, and Georgia is now at that point. You can put anybody in a quarterback, and they're gonna look good. I'm telling you, they're gonna look good.
Hey, Shador winning it.
Like
some of the throws this dude has made. Like
I watched the Tennessee game. It was just a well-oiled machine all around. Like I didn't think it was because of him. I thought he was good though. Like I was like, oh, he's a good quarterback. But I think it's such a well-oiled machine. Like I told you, they have the best offense in college football. A lot of people don't know that because they think it's Georgia, like it's the defense and Kirby Smart, but like they do. But they like Brock Bowers is obviously, you could argue he's the best player in college football when he's healthy. But they have so many weapons. They run the ball well. He doesn't even get touched. Their offensive line is an NFL offensive line. So I just think you could put a lot of dudes back there, and they're going to look really, really good.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, we obviously Kirby recruits well, so obviously we're gonna have good players around him. But that's just my 2 cents, man. He's balled the whole year, no matter if our top 3 receivers were out, if Brock was out. He's been the constant. Kendall Milton, our running back, was hurt for a minute. Dejan was hurt. He didn't play until the 4th game this year, so we were having to walk on a running back, and it was just a mess for a little bit. But he settled the ship, and as everybody's getting healthy, it's just super fun to watch.
For sure. All right, we'll move on from the top 4. Let's talk about our top 4 playoff teams. Obviously, we just talked that there's a lot of impact, some games that are coming up, but I guess what is your prediction? And you may, in your prediction, visualize kind of who you think is going to win the Michigan-Ohio State game, who's going to win between Oregon and Washington. So think about that. I'll go first. The best 4 teams right now are Georgia 1, Michigan 2. So Florida State, I would have put 3. I can't put them 3 anymore because without that quarterback, I need to see this other guy. I think he has some talent, and they have some talented wide receivers. But I'm going to take Florida State out. Washington would be 3 for me. They're undefeated, and then number 4 is a tough one because it's either Oregon or Alabama, in my opinion. And I know Texas people are going to be freaking out, but Alabama looks better than Texas, and that's what happens when you play good teams real early in the year. You can lose. And unfortunately for Texas, they're not getting in the playoff. I just don't see a way they're going to get in. And so I'm looking at it I probably put Alabama 4, but I don't know. It all comes down to Alabama, Georgia, and the SEC, obviously, for them. So that would be my 4. I put Oregon at 5. Well, I guess you got Ohio State, but I'm going to say that Michigan beats Ohio State, so I'm not even going to talk about them. So then you got Oregon at 5, Texas at 6. I think those would be the best 6. Ohio State's on the outside looking in after they lose, because the loser of Michigan, Ohio State's not getting in the playoff, especially if Ohio State beats Michigan, they're in, and Michigan will not get in, obviously, with everything that's going on. They'll move down to 9. And so that's just the way it is. So those are my top 4. I've said it. I told you, Georgia's the best team. I think Michigan is a little bit better than everybody else, but they're not, the offensive line's a little beat up. We'll see this weekend. And then I think Oregon's better than Washington. And I think they'll show that in the Pac-12 championship. So I think Oregon will get in. And then if Florida State goes undefeated, they'll get in. But me personally, I wouldn't put them in right now because with that question mark at quarterback, he made so many plays for them. I think they play Florida this weekend, and then they would play the ACC championship, which
the swamp.
Okay, yeah. And is the ACC championship, I don't know who made that. Did Clemson make that? North Carolina? Who is it?
Louisville. I think they're
Louisville. You're right. So they're playing well. So if they win those 2 games, they deserve to be in. And not that Florida is playing well, but you're right. In the swamp rivalry game, they'll be pumped up to play that and potentially knock their rivals out of the playoffs. So that's kind of my 4. Obviously, you have some big games that are going to move those pieces, but I think that Georgia is probably going to win their 3rd championship in a row.
Love to hear that. No, I mean,
Hell
we
no.
got Tech this week, rivalry game, but I mean, for me,
is that basketball? That's a football game.
That's a football game, yes.
Flag football.
We can't talk basketball about Georgia, Zai.
Oh my Lord! All right.
Anyway, Georgia Tech. I didn't even know they had a football team.
Georgia Tech would win the Big Ten West, but that's a different conversation for a different.
They would. It'd be 3-2 against Iowa, and Iowa would win.
No, it'd be 7-3 Georgia Tech. Anyway, all right, we'll go Georgia. This is so tough now that Jordan Travis got hurt, man. I'm gonna go Ohio State, Oregon, and Texas. I think that we're gonna knock Bama out in the SEC championship game, and Texas is gonna win out. Obviously, Oregon's gonna beat Washington in the Pac-12. I think where it stands right now. The reason I say this, if Michigan's O-line wasn't banged up, I would be singing a different praise right now. It's just the fact that their line. I'm not sure about their depth side. I know you know more about Michigan than I do, obviously, but it's going to be curious to see. I know Ohio State's defense is better this year. They're decent. They got a solid defense. I'm curious to see how the banged up line for Michigan is going to play against that front seven. That's the only thing I'm worried about, and that's why I'm picking Ohio State. That could change, but that's what I got.
That's fair. Dev, I'll let you go. We're going to talk about the game in another segment, so I'm not going to break it down too much right now, but that's fair. My 4 are good. Dev, what do you got? Who's your 4 right now? Do you even know 4 teams that are good enough?
Yes. Mine's kind of simple. Like,
okay.
It would have been Florida State as well. Like, that quarterback was pretty good for him. Mine would be Georgia, obviously, as hard as it, to say it, because I talk a lot of shit to CO about Georgia. But Georgia, Michigan, they're going to take the dub. And I see it's close between Washington and Oregon because, like, they both put up fights and, like, you see some good things from both teams and, like, you'll see some bad teams from both teams. So I don't know. I think I'm going to go with Washington just because, like, I feel like Washington, I feel like Oregon is, like, the favorite. And I think Washington is going to win it. And so we'll go Georgia, Michigan, Washington. And then I feel like Alabama win. Just they got more experience. I think in, like, the big stage.
So you got Bama beating Georgia and they both get in.
No.
Well, how do you got them both in then?
Oh fuck! I'm tripping. I'm tripping, bro. What the? I don't know why I'm thinking about Bama. It's because CO is talking about Bama. Texas. I agree with CO with Texas.
Well, okay. Let me ask you this then, CO. Like, let's say Michigan beats Ohio State on a last-second field goal, or the game's really close. Would one-loss Ohio State get in over a one-loss Texas?
No, because I think that win against Bama very good now.
What if Bama just gets drilled, though? Like, Georgia just walks all over it.
I don't think that would happen. I think the worst – it's going to be a war, dude. It always is, no matter if – they were supposed to smack us back in 2018 when they had Tua and Waddle and Judy. We had a solid defense and we had a decent offense, but they were supposed to smack us that year. And it ended up being an all-out war.
Yeah.
17, so you guys know, the second and 26. And then 2012, Bama did smack us in Athens. So, I mean, that was before Kirby got there. But anyway,
there's going to be a lot. It's going to be very interesting because the committee has to hate it right now. This is why they want to go to 12 teams. because there's going to be so much pressure on them no matter how this falls out. Like, and it's going to be very interesting. So I agree. It's going to be fun to watch. There's a lot of pressure on these games. And don't forget that Michael Penix is from Indiana, CO. That year that you were talking about that Michigan was bad, one of those losses was to Indiana when Michael Penix played, and Indiana was a lot better than people think they were.
How's Indiana this year?
Well, they don't have Michael Penix. So that's as simple as that. Well, that's just my point.
Playing the Big Ten.
That's the point. Like a guy that never won the Big Ten. He won some games, did some things in Indiana that Indiana will probably never do again. He is now dominating the Pac-12.
Well, here's the thing. He has supporting cast around him, man. Look at his receivers.
Oh, yeah, they're good. I agree. They got a nice offense. I agree with you.
Lie.
What, Dev?
All right, so I just want to see like CO's face, your response to this.
Okay.
So, hypothetically speaking, the two teams in the national championship is Michigan and Georgia.
Yep.
How do you think Michigan plays against Georgia? And like, do you think that Georgia spanks us again, just like how they did a couple years ago?
No, I don't think they beat us quite like that. I would say right now, the way that Georgia's playing in Michigan, that Georgia would beat Michigan. But I think that Michigan has an NFL defense except for at linebacker. We have defensive linemen. CO, I'll put you on blast right now if you really want to talk about this. Okay, we've got dudes that are going to get drafted very high on the defensive line. Our secondary has 2 NFL guys in the backfield. Our safeties are pretty good. Like, we just don't have NFL linebackers. That's the one weakness. I'll tell you that. Like, you'll see it. People that expose us, Maryland did this, is when we play a lot of zone coverage and our linebackers shuffle their feet like Shaq does. Like, they just do not move. Like, and it is what it is. Now, that's why it is what it is. But Michigan gets away with it because our pass rush is very good. And we literally bring in 8 to 10 defensive linemen. Not many places can do that. We're very deep. We play a lot of guys, and we have a lot of size. So I think that we can match up with Georgia up front. The question would be, can we score? Like, could we score against them? JJ obviously has to prove that. I agree with you. The reason Michigan has not won a national championship is because we haven't had the quarterback that can go make plays when it matters. Now, I'm not one. JJ made 2 bad throws in the TCU game. The rest of the game, he balled out. It was more or less we couldn't stop TCU when it really mattered. We fumbled the ball at the goal line. Like, a lot of things happened in that game. Like, I've talked about that before. I don't need to go back. If we play TCU, we beat them 8 out of 10 times. Just didn't beat them that night. It happens. TCU balled out. They made plays. But I think that we can compete. I don't know that there's too many teams that can compete. We'll know a lot more. We're going to find out what Michigan's like this weekend. We're going to find out what Georgia's like when Bama rolls in. So after that game, I'll be able to tell you the honest truth. You said, get out of here.
You keep saying we're not playing. That's solid this year.
So until that, it's kind of like a toss-up. Like I've said it, Georgia looks the best again. They do. But who have they played? They've had about the same schedule that Michigan has, so I don't want to hear that. So
what? Whoa. Hold on.
Let me hear it. Who's the best team you beat this year?
Are you shitting me now?
Yeah. No, just tell me, who's the best team you beat?
A top 10 Missouri team that would smack Penn State.
I just watched Missouri play Florida. They got lucky. And Florida is trash.
Florida is solid, dude. They win the Big Ten West.
They got a dude playing quarterback that couldn't even complete a pass in the Big Ten. Like, get out of here with that.
It's because of their offense in Wisconsin. All they do is hand the ball off.
If Graham Mertz came back to the big house, he'd be shaking in his boots. He'd be so scared.
No, I bet you they'd win.
Last time we went to Wisconsin, we worked him over. Like he'd be like, "Oh shit!" Like I don't want.
Here's the thing. Can I say something on that hypothetical Georgia-Michigan game?
Have you ever watched the Kirk Warner movie? I don't remember what it's called, but did you remember when he's in the film room and he's like the coach said something to him and he kind of laughs, said, "What are you laughing at?" And Kirk Warner said, "When did the NFL get so slow?" Well, that's what Graham Mertz said when he got to the SEC. He's kind of chuckling, saying, "This ain't the Big Ten defense. Like I can complete pass on these bums all day."
Oh my Lord. Okay, can I chime in on this hypothetical?
Sure. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. There is 2 teams in my mind that have a realistic shot at beating us. That would give us problems.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah.
Alabama, just because of Nick Saban, right?
Okay.
Obviously.
Yeah.
and their personnel, and Oregon. Do you know who Oregon's head coach is?
Matt Lanning, right?
Dan Lanning.
Dan Lanning, yeah, my fault.
He came from where?
Let me guess, an SEC school.
He came from Georgia. He was our DC from 18 to 21. 20,
Okay, yeah.
So he kind of knows. He
That
obviously
don't
knows.
matter.
Players.
That don't matter.
They match up.
Yeah, the fuck,
Oregon's
but that was
line.
before I was
Listen,
born.
Oregon's line, their offensive and defensive line. If you watch this year, you're gonna smack me. They have a better shot of matching up with us than Michigan does because of their lines and their skilled players on the outside.
Their defense
Michigan does not have skilled players that Oregon has.
Roman Wilson's a dog. Put some respect on Roman Wilson. He got hurt this week. He only played like 3 plays.
Tez Johnson and Troy Franklin, dude.
If Roman
Bucky Irving.
Bro, listen, if Roman Wilson was playing wide receiver in the Pac-12, he'd have 3,000 yards receiving.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but no one plays defense in the Pac-12.
That's my point. So I don't want to hear about these dudes like they're not getting guarded.
Oregon plays defense. That's the only difference.
Maybe. They might be they play the best defense out of the Pac-12.
100%. And then obviously Alabama. I'm not going to explain on that because that's just common sense. But
what I'm saying though is the question was if Michigan and Georgia played. I'm not.
Yeah.
I think that Michigan would compete better than they did last time.
I'm gonna keep it real. I just want to see JJ play this weekend. We can revisit this.
Yeah.
If he doesn't play, if he struggles this weekend and you guys win.
Everybody was saying the same thing last year, and he went out and just diced Ohio State up. Like
he completed 50% of his passes.
It doesn't matter. When he had to make the throw, he made it though. That's the thing. I don't care about completion percentage. Like this isn't the NFL. I'm not paid. Like just win the game. Like just make the throw when you have to. Like I'm not like that's the thing. I'm not worried about JJ because we already have had this conversation. That's what's kind of crazy to me. We've had this conversation that JJ can't play, can't throw. If you want to say that the biggest game he won was Ohio State and he needs to play better in the playoff against teams he's not familiar with, I might agree with you on that. He needs to make that next play. But he's already proven he can beat Ohio State, and he's going to prove that again. Like I'm not worried about that. Mm-hmm. And I think in the next segment, I'm going to teach you why that's going to happen.
Okay. Sorry, am I coming down to Texas to watch the game with you?
Absolutely. Let's make it happen.
All
right. Do you got anything else? I don't want to hear about Georgia no more.
Well, I didn't finish.
Yeah, just like get on your knees while you're at it.
Yeah, like
I might as well because hold on. I would say you guys would struggle defending our offense. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. We got 10 different receivers that catch balls.
We're doubling.
Please double Brock because we have 4 receivers that would cook your DBs at all times.
I think you score some points, but I think it would come down to
more than 40.
I'm not gonna say that. I think that it would come to. We've barely given up 40 points all year, but it's gonna come down. I don't want to hear about the schedule. You said Missouri. If that's the best team on your schedule, like
the fuck,
Missouri
gave you guys a run for your money in the first
if you're telling me that James Franklin is a fraud in big games, Lane Kiffin is a fraud in big games, dude. Just they don't even compete.
That's cap. They almost beat Bama this year.
Maybe Bama's not that good.
Bama isn't that good.
They would smack Michigan. Be for real.
Who's Bama's best win this year? Just can you even tell me off the top of your head?
No,
off the top of my head.
Yeah, exactly. Chattanooga.
Oh no, it's
That's
tough.
That's my point.
It's either us or Ole Miss.
Yeah, and neither one of those teams are.
Ole Miss. The fuck.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Ole Miss was in the Big Ten, so that's crazy.
Stop saying that. Michigan would dice Ole Miss up, and you know that. And Ohio State would dice Ole Miss up.
No, that would not happen.
Ole Miss is Penn State. They're equivalent. Whether you want to say Ole Miss would beat Penn State, they're equivalent. You know that.
CO 2 weeks ago was like, bro, Penn State is going to beat Michigan by 10.
We can debate this another time. It'd be a great show, but this is what I'll tell you about this. I think the SEC is better than the Big Ten. I'll give you that, top to bottom. But what it really comes down to is everybody in the SEC. Here's the main difference, okay? We'll break this down. I'm going to say this, and then we're ending this segment. What the difference is that the SEC has had a few teams, LSU, Florida under Urban Meyer, Auburn when they had Cam Newton, you know, like they've had these teams that go win a national title. They've had a few other teams that do that, right? Okay, LSU, you know, Ed Ordron, but Alabama and Georgia, everybody just coke rides them. Everybody in the SEC, the conference is so tough. No, Georgia and Bama are traditionally tough. That's what it comes down to. But what separates them is that Ohio State and Michigan have traditionally been tough, and then but Georgia and Bama have won national championships. So that's what separates it. But that's the biggest difference is that you have had a few teams that load up. I mean, that LSU team was crazy. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. We're never going to see an offense like that ever again in college football. Like that's just insane when you really think
that wasn't even fair.
Our offense this year, trust me.
And you can't really say that with an honest that LSU team would be
100% real.
If you're 100% real, like did you see LeBron last night when he like did the fake joint, stomped on and put it out? That's what he's doing to you right now because that LSU team is the best college football team ever. Like ever. They would
0-1 Miami is.
The only reason I might say 0-1 Miami is because they got dudes on their team that actually kill people. Like that's a whole different that's a whole different conversation. But that LSU team was so good because that Clemson team was really good and they diced Clemson up. Like so that's what I'm gonna tell you.
In the SEC championship, we had that 2021 defense when they were younger.
I'm just telling you, that's the best. If you don't want to say the best team, but that's the best offense in college football history. Like, and it's not even that close. And they didn't even have time to really gel. Like, they just said, "All right, Joe, here you're in. Like, let's go fuck some people up." And that's what they did, like literally. And then they smoked cigars after the game. So at the end of the day, that's the difference between the SEC, though, is that you guys just win national championships. Like, but if you really want to talk about it, there's only two really good teams in the SEC. There's really only two good teams in the Big Ten. There's really only one or two good teams in the Pac-12. Like, it's just how it is. Everybody else is below average. Like, it's just unfortunately the world we live in. But that's how good, I won't take away, that's how good Georgia and Bama are. That's traditionally how good Ohio State and Michigan are. Like, they're that much better than everybody else. Like, and every once in a while you get a team like Oregon or Washington that deserves to be in the mix. But 9 out of 10 times they're going to get their doors blown off in the playoffs too. Like, it's just how it is. All right, we're done with this segment. CO, you've had enough Georgia time. I don't want to hear about them no more. Dev, we got 2 more segments left, but please comment on it. Let us know who your top 4 is. Maybe we missed somebody. Let us know what impact these games are going to have. Maybe you think Marvin Harrison's going to catch 300 yards. Maybe Blake Horn.
Oh, no.
I don't know. Just let me know what you guys think. Maybe I told you, CO, if Bama's quarterback can beat Georgia, like he'll get in the mix very quickly. Like if he runs for 100, throws for 100, a couple touchdowns, like he will be in the mix. So it's going to be very interesting. So let us know what you think. Let us know about your top 4. But we got 2 more segments that are going to be a lot of fun. So I appreciate it.